Testing, testing, testing.
And we're back. Episode 2. Or part 2, or whatever we want to call this, as it's getting figured out.
It's as yet unnamed, but hopefully the sound quality is a little bit better this time. We've got a different mic set up.
Hey.
Hopefully you can't hear me tapping the mic stand. If so, I apologize for that. Although that was definitely louder. There.
Speaker.
Bear with us for a moment.
All right. So this time we are talking about...
We are talking about 2019's Ready or Not.
Which was a comedy, horror...
Well, I have some thoughts on this that we can get into later after we've gone over our initial thoughts about the movie.
Okay.
So, horror traditionally is a lot more my genre. It's not something you prefer.
It's not usually my thing.
That being said, what's your opinion of the movie now that this is technically our second time seeing it? I think we both saw this in theaters first. Yeah. This was an at-home rewatch. What is your opinions of it coming back to it?
I think we referenced this before, but I think it was better the first time around. Like, the first time... Where did I write this? I thought there was more comedy to this. Like, in my memory of it, I was like, this is maybe more funny. But I'm like, this is just not that funny. It's just much more horror.
I also have written down in my, obviously, meticulous notes here that this is one of those movies where it's sort of the exception to the rule that usually things get better on repeat viewing. You see things you didn't see before. Yes. You notice details you didn't notice before. And this time, I noticed how little there was to notice. There's not actually a whole lot of going on other than ferrying you from one point of gore to the next. It's
to a certain degree,
It is a really thin movie. There's really not a whole lot tying things together.
Yeah, that's true.
And, not to spoil the ending as it is a semi-recent movie.
It's been out.
They explode at the end.
Yes.
But
the bad guy loses.
The bad guy loses, the good girl wins.
Yes.
As do a lot of horror films. But that ending is a lot more fun the first time you see it because
you don't know what's going on. Exactly.
Once you know that's coming at the end,
the rest is
really kind of boring.
Meaningless.
Honestly.
Yes. Yeah.
So one thing that I took away from this is that, is this a horror movie? Horror movies are designed to scare you by watching. At any point during this movie, were you scared?
There's a couple tense moments, yeah. Like some of the more horror-esque parts, yes. I can't think of anything specific.
So there's a bit where she's out on the front lawn. When she figures out what's going on, she's running around, she's trying to get into the forest, and she has to slip through some gate bars that are spiked up. And I saw
that's why I was like, gruesome.
And you clenched up real bad.
I was like, that's just...
Because she's slicing her back open. But
yes.
From my perspective, I was never scared watching this, and I don't think I was ever scared watching this the first time around.
I think that bit was less scared and more just kind of like...
I would say this
is... gross, gory, kind of gruesome.
See, I don't know if I would classify this as a horror film. I think it sits a lot more comfortably in, like,
suspense,
slightly comedic suspense.
Yeah, for the most part.
So...
The beginning, I definitely got, like, Eyes Wide Shut vibes.
Yes, especially when they bring up the masks.
Sure.
And then they never use them again for the entire movie.
Granted, they did reference like the 80s or whatever.
So,
like that.
Originally, those are supposed to be a lot more prominent in the movie, and no one can keep a straight face while using them. This even shows up a little bit in the gag reel. And you know what also shows up in the gag reel? Normal colors.
Yeah.
This... I had forgotten.
I wrote in pump up the color because I'm like, Jesus Christ, guys.
I forgot just how heavily color graded this movie is, and on the rewatch, it's ugly. Like,
yeah, well, it's very distinct.
It's distinct.
I think it's clearly on purpose.
Well, I don't think it's on accident.
No, but I'm saying like it wasn't. Yeah, obviously it was on purpose. Yeah, exactly what I'm saying.
So I would want to say that that's in spirit of the genre, that you are not supposed to have a good time watching a horror movie, hypothetically.
And I think this is where we differ, where I'm just like, why would I not want to have a good time?
Well, right, but like...
Even if it's a sad movie, I'm like, I'm still having a good time, though.
I'm getting there, my man. I'm getting there. And now I've lost my train of thought.
So the titling of the movie?
I also wrote down
How do I get into that job? Like, I would so
the
be
calligraphy
into...
for the opening
Yes,
credits
yes.
are really fun.
No, not even just... I mean, well, granted, this is the movie that made me think about it, but I was like, how is that a job that I can get into?
It's
I'll look into that.
it's in the
Ready.
rolling credits of everything. It's title
Design.
title design essentially, but you have a lot of fun curly letters. They come
Yes.
into a scene in an
Yes.
interesting way. It's different than say a Marvel movie where it's just it's a black screen with white letters.
Yes. Well, yeah.
This is our first slightly horror-y themed thing. But I wouldn't say it's a good introduction to that genre because I don't think it. Again, I don't know if it qualifies. Color grading is really heavy. It's jarring at first,
Yeah.
but you do get used to it as it goes on.
You do.
Until the very ending scene when she's walking out and the house is on fire. They actually drop the color grade down and they show you just normal light. It looks so much better. Like it's so.
They're setting a mood.
nicer.
They have a specific mood they're going for. So there is that.
True. They could set a mood where it was nicer.
It's true.
Like I get that they used a lot of mood lighting for inside the house when she's running around. It's legitimately hard to see what's going on sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
I don't think it helps.
Yeah, depending on when you see this, if you're watching this in the daylight with all the reflection
Oh my
and
god,
glare.
yes. I'm glad we watched this
at night.
for those of we haven't mentioned it, but we watched this directly after we watched The Prestige. It's about 3 weeks on now, but it's but it was at night. I think if you watched this during the day, you would notice how bad it looked.
Well, not just bad it looked, just it's clearly meant to be seen at a specific time.
That's true.
I do think the whole it's a very simple concept. They do not waste a lot of time of this is what it is.
I can appreciate
I think
that
there are
they
trade-offs
don't.
with that.
Well, I think for something like this, it works.
I think it works for the first time.
That's true.
But this kind of thing, the second time, I'm like, there's not.
You do come away wanting to know more about everything the second time after the initial, surprise of what's going on has worn off.
Yeah.
Because, I can appreciate the fact that they waste no time. Straight up, they get married, boom. They play the board game, boom. They start hunting her. That's in the first 20 minutes of the movie. They waste no time getting into that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes.
The first time.
Yeah.
This time I'm like, okay, why is she here? What's her name? I don't remember. Genuinely, I thought her name was the bride the whole movie. It would have worked fine, but...
I don't remember it now.
Can't remember her name? Can't remember her prospective husband's name?
Not Adam Brody?
Well...
Which I think he might be my favorite part of the movie, but that's fine.
So...
I haven't seen him in much, but the few things I have seen him in, I actually do enjoy him in. The rest of the cast,
The rest of the cast do their job fine, but they're largely kind of forgettable.
Yeah, no one was... This was not like a star moment, I guess. I mean,
no.
It's not their movie.
Outside of Samara Weaving, there's no one who really stands out.
Granted,
Except maybe...
It's her movie.
That's true, but even for your supporting cast, there's no one who's like, oh, I want to look up what this person's in.
Yes.
Not really.
Not really. What else? The makeup was pretty good in some parts.
So this is a fairly simple movie to do. You could... It wouldn't look as good, but I feel like this is something me and you could shoot with a phone. There's not a whole lot of CG involved. There's not a whole lot of out-of-camera work that you would need to do unless you wanted to do the whole hog color grading like they did.
Sure. Yeah,
so
I'm sure
I can appreciate...
That's still dumbing it down a bit, but yes, I'm sure...
Well, you know what I mean.
Yes, I understand
I can appreciate that this was probably for budget's sake and also probably for script slimming down sake that there's not a whole lot of dialogue that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, that's true.
Granted, you could tell the story with less dialogue, but the bits that are there are actually important for the story to make sense.
Yes. Thinking about it, I think why I've never been a big horror fan, and this is why I think this is horror, is because for most horror movies, there's so much suspension of disbelief of the people doing stupid shit. Like, oh, if you knew you were getting hunted, why would you not arm yourself immediately? Why did she wear the wedding dress
my
as
God.
long as...
I have that written down too.
Just stuff like that. I'm just like, that's why horror is usually not... Yeah, like, I don't like getting scared and stuff like that, but I'm just like, oh, I don't believe it.
I am a fan of horror, but... So, one of the things that this is kind of subgenred into is that this is sort of a slasher movie. Kind of, sort of.
Sure.
But that's not a genre of horror that I particularly like because I don't find it scary and I don't feel like it's believable because to make a slasher movie work, your protagonists have to be dumb as rocks.
Yeah.
Usually when I go for horror, I go for something that's supernatural or something like, I don't know, not Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what holds these characters back in this from being interesting is because they have to be stupid.
Yeah, which
she spends the majority of the movie in the dress. She could change
the
it
majority,
anytime.
yeah.
Like granted,
they did this whole...
under duress, and
they also did this whole like, not cut scene, but like where they were cutting to her different parts of her. Like
it's a cut scene where she's cutting her dress.
Kill yourself. Yeah, where she's like tearing her dress. I was like, this didn't have to be this whole thing.
I'm glad they showed her doing that, but I feel like she could have changed out of her dress at any time, and she still would have stood out. I think that from an iconography standpoint, she's easy to pick out against everyone else because she's wearing a bright white dress.
Yes.
Like, I get that's the reason there.
You
could have done that differently.
Yes. I did like that they put her in, like, yellow Converse.
Yes.
That was fun.
Well, that's on purpose to show that she's not rich.
Yes.
Yep. So, obviously, if you even have a cursory knowledge of this movie, Duncan, leave the dog alone.
Hayden, I'm listening.
Fair enough. We are at my brother's place. He has his very energetic dog, Fredward, here.
Yes.
And
as you were saying.
So, even if you have a cursory knowledge of this movie, you know that they're hunting her by playing in a, albeit extreme version of the game Ready or Not. It's in the title. So I asked to you...
The game is hide and seek, not Ready or Not.
It's the same thing.
It's definitely just not.
Potato. If you had to pick a game like that to survive...
Survive?
What?
I wouldn't play something that...
Like, would you pick a board game? Would you break out Monopoly?
I think it depends on who I'm playing with.
Let's say our family.
Yeah, I'd pick a board game, but I'd be very specific with the board game that I pick. The ones that I know I'm better at. I would not play chess. I might play pool, depending on who I'm playing.
Pool would be fun.
Pool would be fun.
But it'd have to be like the serial killer version of pool.
Whatever, yes, yeah. I don't know. That's a interesting question.
See, I think, I would pick something that would allow me to be outside.
Yeah.
Like, I would pick, like, frisbee golf or, give me some paintball or something like that.
I think that'd be interesting. I don't know if it'd be... I think if you're trying to be as tactical as possible, I think you kind of have to weigh what you think is going to be the best thing for you.
That's true. So, another question I had written down just while we were watching this, and I'm thinking, okay, let's say I'm her. For whatever reason, suspension of disbelief is real high here. Let's say that I'm her.
I'm literally her, dude.
She's literally me.
Dude. Rygos? My guy? Sorry.
We're going to come back to how you shortened his name to Rygos.
Dude, Rygos?
That sounds like a medication.
Oh. My daily Rygos?
I take my daily dose of
Rygos?
Of Rygos. And it helps me be a shit actor.
Okay.
We
have very different opinions about...
I don't think he's a shit actor. I wish he did his dramatic roles differently. In any event, let's say you're her.
Okay, yeah.
What are you choosing to defend yourself with? Now that you've seen the movie and you know what she picks up.
A gun.
But remember, they took all the ammos are dummies.
I don't think so.
Remember, she's in the kitchen. She's got the big rifle. She tries to shoot the butler person. He's like, oh, none of the guns work.
He said that, but they grabbed guns themselves, so they clearly do
have
work.
the crossbow and things like that. if you had to defend yourself with a medieval style weapon, what would you pick?
Bow and arrow. I want something with range. I'm not the likelihood that you're gonna get hurt is higher if you're closer to someone. So yes, a light sword, sure, but no, I'd rather have distance.
I don't envision a reality in which I survive this situation. I feel like I'm going to go out in a blaze of glory, and by glory I mean I'm going to get stabbed and die. However, I want like a big battle axe.
No, see, you won't even be able to.
Like
by the time you swing it, cool. They're going to either stab, chop, arrow.
Honestly, I'm not an athletic guy. I'm getting there, but I'm not athletic. I'm not going to be able to outrun somebody. I feel like I'm going to die in this situation either way. I'd rather be holding something cool. Like give me William Wallace sword.
Everyone's got their different things.
Give me a flail.
Seems unwieldy.
True.
So yes, I would probably have something with range, if at all possible. Either crossbow. I'd prefer bow and arrow to a crossbow, actually.
So that's kind of all I had written down. This is a fun movie. It's a quick movie, but there's not a whole lot to digest.
There's not as much. No, I mean, again, nothing against the movie. It takes years of like lots of different things to go right, even to make a movie.
That's very true.
So I'm not like trying to bag
there
on
are,
it. And like
there are many parts of this movie that could have been done worse. Like
especially like if you watch this for the first time,
it's a ton of fun. I would recommend you watch it at least the once.
For once, exactly.
So
yeah, I didn't feel as much like substance.
No, there's not a whole lot to chew through here because
that's the whole simple
thing
is
a quick in and out horror movie.
Yeah, for the most part.
This is directed by Tyler Gillette. He is part of a directing group which have called themselves Radio Silence because they want to be cool.
Well, they must be super cool with a name like that. Super
cool. They're behind a couple of the recent Scream movies. They're behind this and a few of the VHS things, which I'm a big fan of the VHS movies. They're a mixed bag of different stuff, but they've also announced that they're going to make a sequel to this.
Really?
Now, I am of the opinion the sequel does not need to exist. I don't feel like there's more story to resolve here. That being said, if you were making the sequel, and gun to your head, you had to make a sequel, what would you do?
Well, the family is dead, which means the only thing you can do is do a prequel.
Extended family.
Nah, that wouldn't. I don't think that. I think they'd lean into maybe in the past. I think that's the only way to really even make this. No, it's not going to be good. I can pretty much almost guarantee that, but at least it's been made.
Very true. I was thinking that maybe she. So at the ending of this one, there's a bunch of cops allegedly talking to her about what happened and yada yada yada. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking this
is the start of her legacy as the family.
I don't think so. I think the sequel...
I think she thinks it's fucked, so I don't think she'd be into that, so...
I'm thinking it's not her choice. I'm thinking she's going to be in jail somewhere. Clearly, they're not going to believe that a spirit inhabiting a magic card box
all that
blew up the family and set the house on fire.
Sure.
While I don't think they can fully blame it on her, they're going to keep her there because clearly she's the only one left alive. There's something
and she
here.
did kill some of them. So
this is very true. She has a body count by the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking she's in jail, and an extended member of the family comes to her in jail, pays her bail, and it's her surviving their questioning of what happened, and they essentially try to recreate the events. Perhaps with a different game, but I feel like that's what I would do if I'm Radio Silence. This is what I would do for a sequel.
If you had to do one, I get it. It wouldn't be my first choice, but I understand it.
Your prequel idea also not terrible. I don't hate that either.
I think it makes the most logical sense.
But I'm still
even
firmly
if I
in
don't
the camp
like
of
it.
They don't need to make this.
No, I think that this might be either a separate conversation, but it doesn't really have to do with any one specific film. But I feel like there's less and less original content. It's more
1,000%
either rehashing or prequel, sequel, remake, that kind of stuff right now, which kind of
absolutely
sucks.
It's unfortunate, and it's not in our control. So
We are only the consumer.
We only are the consumer, and we're here to complain about the things of which we have consumed.
Yes.
And you're here to listen to us do it.
Because we know
sometimes
there's so many of you. Yes.
I mean, we have got to have listenership in the single digits by now.
I mean, I don't know if I've even listened to an episode the whole way through. So yeah, maybe.
Possibly not.
Maybe.
Possibly not. So, closing thoughts?
I'd recommend seeing it once.
Yeah, I would say it's a fun movie. It's not a great movie.
Nah.
See it for the one time and then move on.
Since, again, I use Letterboxd, you don't, that's fine.
That's okay.
Everything is rated out of 5. I think I'd probably give this 3 out of 5. Like, not bad.
I came away with a lesser opinion of this than I thought that I would. I'm giving this a solid 2.5.
Yeah.
I noticed more things that I didn't like about it the second time through.
Well, now I'm curious if I go to my Letterboxd.
I don't know. I can't point to one specific thing I would want them to improve on. I came away feeling disappointed.
I rated it 3, yeah.
I mean, I'd be fine with 3. I just feel like...
Interesting. It's like the first time we saw this, when it came out in February of 2021, I said a bloody fun movie, that's all.
I think you were reaching for the pun there.
Second time I said Fitch, my guy. Fitch was the, like, husband who was not with it 100% all the time.
Yeah.
Fitch, my guy.
Oh, you mean the guy watching how to use
a crossbow? Yes.
In the bathroom?
Dude, Fitch. Love it.
I will say, the bride is there to move the story along. A lot of the humor comes from the other family members.
Yeah, she's not... No, she is the serious part, for the most part.
Lots of the humor comes from the other family members that are not as wholeheartedly behind of, hey, let's kill her, than everyone else is.
Yes.
Like, I think my favorite character in the movie, whose name I can't remember...
The creepy, weird aunt?
Is Bailey.
Which one's Bailey?
The one that looks like Bailey.
Oh, Adam Brody.
Yes. You know, the guy who's...
Yes, Adam Brody.
I think he comes along as very likable and actually as a character.
Yes, I mean, I think that's kind of his whole character's point, but yes.
Well, I don't know, but you got to have one, and I think
he's a human.
Yes, he's a human. Everyone else is not.
Well, no, he's the voice of humanity, really.
Yes.
If you are curious though of what do these guys or at least what does Duncan think of other movies, you can find me on Letterboxd at Duncan 8 Donuts. That's DUNCAN 8, the number 8 donuts, capitalized.
And you can find me on Instagram if you also want to hear my political opinions.
Oh God,
which I know you don't.
So yeah, let's not go
let's
there.
Not do that.
Okay, what's the recommendation?
I would still say people should watch it once. It's fun.
Let me clarify. I think we've said that. I think what is your recommendation of something else people should watch? That's just the next thing. But maybe what's the next thing?
I don't know.
We might be reviewing The Phantom Menace. I think that might be fun.
You know what? Let's do that. So Phantom Menace is being reshown in theaters this coming weekend.
Yeah, that could be fun. I haven't seen it in a while, but B, I haven't seen it in a theater. I don't know if I was even old enough to see it when it first came out. I don't think I was. I was.
2000 and whatever it was, maybe not. Yeah, I think I probably did.
You guys might have.
I know I enjoyed it a lot at the time because I was like
the movie's
12.
Super cool looking. And like if
Hey, save it for the pod.
Save it for the pod.
Okay.
So yes, we'll
join us again next time where we'll talk about
Star Wars
George
Episode
Lucas.
1, The Phantom Menace, featuring the Sith Lord Jar Jar Binks and the rest of his motley crew.
Padme Amidala and her clone.
Yes. Which, yeah, it's a whole fucking thing. Either way.
And early 2000 CGI, we hope to hear you there.
Yeah.
Except we won't hear you, you'll hear us, because that doesn't make any sense.
Go watch Ready or Not. Obviously, make your own opinions. If you like it, great. If not, well, you watched a movie. There's worse things to do with in the world. So, thanks.